Greetings, fellow Obscura seekers. An anonymous seeker sent us tonight's story, and I couldn't get it out of my head ever since. I believe you'll see why. He claims to have written and named it In Your Image.
My patients. I'm letting them... No. I'm killing them.
I let go of the doorknob and turned to see my best friend laying on her couch. She was drunk as a skunk when I took her home. Ashley never drank like that. Anyone could see she was trying to drown something. I had asked her what had happened all night long. She waited until I reached for the door to spit it out. I picture a dream as I write. I ignore her and leave. She doesn't show up at the pub next week, or the one after that. She doesn't pick up our calls. We don't find her at home. People at the state hospital say they haven't seen her either. Time goes on. We give up. Her missing lingers with her family, of course, but I doubt that would make a difference. We mourn. I forget. I get to live on. Instead, I sat by her side, wondering why there were paint buckets on the coffee table. Is it about the patient who ran away? Ash, that's not your fault.
Yes, it is.
How so? I asked, and that's how it lured me in. The wails came before the staff pushed the stretcher through the psychiatric wing's doors. The patient twitched. Leather straps bound him at every joint. He jerked his head and screamed, veins jumping in his neck. His voice tore up somewhere between his chest and his throat. In his cries, he called someone awful names, asking why. The man didn't sound angry.
He sounded like my mother at my brother's wake.
A woman followed the stretcher, her face frozen in shock. Bruises on her arms, scratches on her neck, 2 recent stitches on her lip. Ash went up to her.
Please come with me.
Motionless, the lady watched as the stretcher made a turn in the hospital's corridor. Then, Ashley took her to get some water, and she let it all out. William. Perfect husband and teacher for over 20 years. No addictions. The closest thing to a mania was his bedtime routine. Every night, he'd go to the telescope by the bedroom window and, as she said, witness. Minutes later, he'd take some notes and lay by her side. Last night, she fell asleep before he went to bed. It happens. Sometimes, you know, William gets carried over. As they have breakfast the morning after, he talks about constellations and orbits and the vastness of space. When he talks like that, his eyes glow like a full moon. Problem is, last night he stayed up late for the 7th night in a row. That morning, he was sitting on the floor when she woke up. He told her, of course, he just woke up early. His side of the bed was cold. The school had canceled classes for some celebration, and he already had breakfast. Of course, he'd join her in a minute. She took her time while having breakfast. She couldn't remember the last time they didn't share the table. He didn't come. She couldn't wait the whole morning. At the office, she prayed for an emergency reunion. A scolding from her boss. A fire. Her day is unbearably uneventful. Nothing takes her from that coldness on William's side of the bed. She got stuck in traffic on her way home, arriving long after sunset. She called him. Nothing. There he was, stargazing. She tried calling him again, to no reaction. She touched him. He pushed her back. It felt like getting shot in the heart. She screamed at him, the first time in years. She made threats. Then she begged. Nancy tried her best to sound mad, but she knew that wasn't her William. Nancy called an ambulance. Her husband was catatonic. They asked her if he had been violent. She lied for his sake. She said they'd be there for him soon. Slowly, William turned his head from the telescope. The joints along his spine popped all the way to the base of his skull. He had been still for hours. Her husband glared at her, his eyes dark as the new moon. She walked away from him as he got up. There was something in that gaze that her husband never was. She couldn't bring herself to go on, but Ashley was glad the ambulance arrived quickly. Nancy won't press charges. She just wants her husband back. William still fought against the straps when Ashley entered room 608.
You understand we can't let you out until you calm down, don't you?
The man ignored her, pulling his wrists and ankles. His arms and legs were red, the leather repeatedly scraping his skin. The bed's frame rattled, covering the floor underneath it in scratch marks. His would be a hard case to crack. Judging by Nancy's account, there seemed to be no clear trigger. His descent was gradual, until the previous night. Burnout-induced nervous breakdown? It could be. She didn't know anything about his work life yet. Ashley would talk to his colleagues later. Now, she had to get him to acknowledge her.
Would you calm down if we brought you your telescope?
He stopped struggling. The bed's groans ceased. William's eyes shone through the pain as he let his weight rest on the mattress.
Please, I need my journal too.
Olivia, would you fetch his items?
Her resident hurried out, her heels echoing in the room's empty space. Ash shut the door after her. The patient would remain bound until she returned. He didn't answer anything about work. Not a word about his family life. William didn't even bother to look at her. The man stared at the door the whole time, his breath erratic. She might as well have been a ghost, though the man's haunting was still a mystery. They installed his telescope by the window. It was a vintage model, bronze surface. She held the journal as nurses removed the straps. Ashley considered flipping through it, but William stared at it, jealousy in his frown. A man in the desert watching someone play with his canteen. He didn't move an inch, though. He couldn't afford to scare them. Not now. She left the notebook on the chair they brought him.
You may watch the stars and take notes for as long as you want to, if you let us monitor you, William.
As soon as the sun set, he'd look through the eyepiece. The focusing knobs looked like small gears. They would tick smoothly as you'd touch it. Whenever the stars weren't visible, he'd write, page after page after page, until he collapsed. Upon waking up, his ritual went on. William would only eat while watching the sky. He picked at the hospital food, and not for long. Ashley always had to throw most of it away. Soon the staff understood it would be better to hydrate him through an IV. William didn't bother to stretch his arm and take the needle after they said it would save him time. It was Dr. Ashley Easton's professional opinion that they should use the IV to sedate him whenever he passed out, prolong his sleep, prevent the damage from further exhaustion. They shouldn't disclose this measure to the patient. William's condition could deteriorate if he realized they were keeping him away from the telescope. Standing beside him, Ashley looked through the window. The city's lights dimmed the stars, but she could still point out some staples. Orion readied his strike over the town, pointing right at the state hospital.
Your wife told us you've always been an astronomer. She truly loves it.
Radio silence. Ash was done with trying to get a regular reaction out of him. She had never seen anything like this. There were some similarities to OCD, but this? None of her patients were so devoted to a single thing. William didn't show any other symptoms, or anything to indicate he was on the spectrum, for that matter.
If you let us keep your notebook after you're done, we can get you a new one.
William nodded. He hadn't taken notes for almost an hour. There was something out there, over them, drawing his gaze. His journal was open on his lap. She leaned in. All over the pages, a single icon. A constellation formed with dots. She could make out 3 of them shaping a V. The hairs on her arm stood up. Electricity in the air. He hung his head towards the notebook. She leaned back.
Are you looking at a particular constellation? May I see it?
He shot up, positioning himself between her and the telescope. His breath ragged, his fists clenched. She raised her hands in front of her.
I won't touch it, William.
For the first time, he looked at her as he sat back. Then his gaze turned to the night sky once more. Perhaps that could be considered progress.
Why don't we talk about what you're seeing, then? What do you see now?
The man took a deep breath.
I can't. I don't have the words, all right? I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize.
She tried to lay a hand on his shoulder.
That wasn't meant for you.
His back twitched under her palm. She pulled it back. Personification. That was her best lead so far. But of what exactly? And why would William apologize for not knowing what to say? Did he know anything about it at all?
Is it ineffable?
You do not use that word.
William gripped the journal, bending it.
You'll ruin your notebook, William. What word shouldn't I use? Ineffable.
He held it gentler.
It, as well, for that matter, that's inferior.
Ashley was getting somewhere. Late onset schizophrenia? That was unusual, just like everything else about William's case. Olivia hadn't found any family history either. Ashley had double-checked everything as well.
Inferior to what?
Leave me alone, Doc.
You agreed to let...
You said you'd watch me. That's what I agreed with. I'm fine, okay? Is that what you want to hear, Doc? Thanks for the room and the food. It's good enough. Now go bother someone who actually needs help.
William, your wife...
You can tell her I died for all I care.
Ash left the room. She turned around. Olivia nearly bumped into her, springing from around the corner. Her resident clutched a clipboard against her chest. Deep, dark circles had formed around her eyes. Ashley checked her wristwatch. It was way past Olivia's shift.
Dr. Easton, what do you think is wrong with him?
She looked over Ashley's shoulder, at room 608's half-open door. Ashley closed it.
Whatever it is, it's stronger tonight. I might have figured something out. Come with me.
Olivia shuddered. Ashley led the young woman into room 607. A silvery telescope had been set up by the window. Moonlight came through, its glow reflecting on the object's surface. The smooth night breeze gently blew the curtains, the darkness beyond them inviting the pair closer. Ashley adjusted the tube.
Managed to sneak a peek into his journal. The constellation he's been staring at has an acute angle. 3 stars forming a V.
Wait, a V, are you sure?
Ashley nodded. She stared through the eyepiece, focusing on Canis Major. Her research was paying off. From her point of view, the star triangle to the right of Sirius did look like a V. She couldn't be sure, though. One of its sides was almost straight. William's drawing angles were clearly sloped. He wouldn't make such an amateurish mistake. Not if he cared that much.
Precisely. Why? You know any constellation that looks like it? How about you give it a look? Olivia?
Behind her, the young woman had frozen still. She clutched the clipboard again.
Liv, why don't you take a look?
She turned the eyepiece towards the intern. Olivia stepped back.
I'm sorry.
Olivia, you don't...
Ashley's throat locked shut. An icy touch slid up her spine. Olivia stared past her at the open window.
I'm sorry.
The resident threw the clipboard at her feet, the papers spreading along the floor.
I can't do it, Doctor. I've seen enough.
Olivia stormed out of room 607. Ashley crouched to see the pages. She could only piece together a few words on each line. Patient names, symptoms, possible conditions, and their respective treatments. Most of it, though, was unreadable. She had scribbled circles all over the words. There was nothing written on the page marked for that day. Nothing but the shapes in unconnected, broken lines. 3 stars forming a V and, apparently, a circle. 2 tips to the riddle that had consumed William's life. 2 pieces that didn't fit, even though they had to. She went back to room 607's telescope. For a moment, Ashley hesitated to even touch it again. An insidious thought took shape in her head. If it wasn't just William anymore, then maybe it hadn't started in his mind at all. Olivia had seen something too. Ashley hoped she would get over it soon. But she heard the girl. She might have not reacted like William, but she also thought there was something out there, toying with us. And there Ashley was now, looking for it. That was ridiculous. It could be folie à deux. Did Olivia and William talk without her supervision? She doubted someone less experienced could get something out of him. He might have thought she was worth the chatter. Why then? She looked up through the window. The light dots we give names and meaning to. The outstretched darkness around them. What was she missing out on? She turned the telescope's mount until its star diagonal faced her. All night long she tuned the focusing knobs. A V for William. A circle for Olivia. Somewhere out there, They had to converge. Could it be Taurus? Its brightest star was Aldebaran, at the edge of an undeniably angular V. Though, that would make it 5 stars, not 3. What if Olivia's circles weren't a constellation, but her version of dots for stars? Ashley grabbed her residence paper pile. Side by side with her star chart, the circles formed. Nothing. She tried connecting them in every sequential combination she could think of. No pattern, no answers. Her trail went cold.
Is this your 5th cup of coffee, Doc?
Give or take a cup or two?
Ashley placed it on the cupboard to type out the patient's first voluntary interaction on her tablet.
Why do you ask? I can get you one.
The patient shook his head.
So you see it now.
She fought against her migraine's commands to let it all out on the man.
William, why don't you tell me what I see?
The note app cursor blinked, awaiting to register the man's answer.
You were up all night, weren't you? What were you doing?
I was trying to find your muse, William. We were neighbors for the night. Did you know that? Before I noticed, the sun was up.
Does your shift start that early, Doc? You still could have gotten some sleep on 607. I told you, the mattress isn't half bad.
Each word he said drove another nail into her skull.
You're trying to say I have it too, is that it?
I'm just saying.
Is that what you told Olivia? By the way, when did you talk to her?
Doc, I never talked to...
William, I didn't spend the night playing Connect the Dots because I care for Sirius or the Hyads or whatever you've fallen in love with. I don't even care about you anymore. You don't want to get better, and by the look of it, you're having a field day every day. But your wife's living sertraline to sertraline, and my best resident may be out of the field for good.
She threw Olivia's papers at him.
Looks like you've got competition, Ziggy.
William held the page in front of his face, pinching it, handling it with care, his eyebrows raised. His eyes moved along the page. Did he see a pattern?
Doc, I've never said a word to that girl. If I knew about this, I would have.
Then how...
Didn't you send her to fetch my journal? Connect the dots.
William ripped the page he was sketching on. He shut the notebook and tossed it aside. The man leaned against the bed, struggling to get up. His legs trembled. Ashley crossed the room and helped him stand on his feet. Veins marked his gaunt hands. William was a husk, regardless of how he felt about it. He handed her the page. Ash glared at him.
Are you sure you won't get mad if I look at it? I'm here for your well-being.
That was before, Doc.
Before what?
I was selfish then.
He tapped the page.
See? I'm almost ready now.
The page was barely empty. She expected to see the rest of the puzzle, what sprouted from the V triangle. Instead, sparse and short diagonal lines sprinkled the paper. Each connected a pair of dots.
Did a star snuff out? Is that what you're watching? Why are you almost ready? What's gonna happen once they're all gone?
You thought they were stars, Doc?
William chuckled, shaking his head. He looked at the page.
Oh, I can see why you would.
What else would they be, William? And why then would you keep looking at them?
Astronomy has always been my passion. I simply lacked the right intention.
Something flashed through her synapses, finally clicking into place.
Is that why you can talk to me now? Because you're doing it with the right intention?
William's sunken eyes opened agape. A blood vessel burst, spilling red over white. Ashley forced herself not to react. She couldn't let go of him now. He smiled through yellow, long, unkept teeth.
Yes, you see it now.
A plan, at last, the first of many steps, for Nancy and even for William. She wouldn't blame him anymore.
It seems I do, William. Why don't we dedicate a meal to that? Would it be okay if we had lunch with the right intentions?
He tapped her tablet.
We don't get to choose our vocation.
She looked at the screen. Her breath fled her chest. Scattered across the notes, between each sentence and paragraph, intruding words, the letter A. Had she written them? She selected the first for an A, ready to erase it. She stopped herself. Maybe she should keep it for real-time progression observation.
It's one thing to take a break from one's vocation to share the blessing. Indulgence is not the same. Now, if you excuse me...
He sat back and reached for the journal. She asked William who had shared the blessing with him.
To say her name would betray her works, Doc. Besides, you wouldn't get anything out of that. She's She was ready before you and I ever met. She didn't spell it out to me either. It would fall on deaf ears then. The last thing she ever told me was a verse. Colossians 3:17.
Ashley opened her browser's search engine. William went on before she looked for it.
Whatever you do, in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord.
The doorman was glad to let Ashley in. That is, after she left her driver's ID at the lobby and $2,000 in his wallet. She tapped the elevator button repeatedly, as if it would make the door close faster. As she fixated on the floor numbers lighting up over the doors, the mirror teased her from her peripheral vision. Did you lose weight? When have you last slept, Doc? Or bathed while we're at it? 8th floor. She got out, keeping her head down. The hall lights hurt her eyes. 1, 2, 3 doors to the left. Ashley knocked. Silence. She knocked harder. She put her ear against the wooden door. There was movement inside. Someone talking. Barely a whisper from outside. She wouldn't hear it if her head didn't throb at each noise. Ashley pulled out her phone. Olivia was last online over a day ago. She typed, focusing on each letter. She had to sound sane. Olivia, are you home? I need to talk to you. The messages were sent immediately. They didn't arrive. She tried calling her, straight to voicemail. There was only one more thing she could try. Her fingers wrapped around the doorknob. Ashley prayed to whoever could listen. She turned it and pushed. The door gave way. The smell lunged at her before her eyes got used to the dark. The air in the apartment was rotten, wet, and heavy. A blend of life cycles and industry chemicals. Buzzing that sounded like TV static. Ashley walked in, shutting the door behind herself. She reached for the chain lock, but gave up on the idea. It was better to leave her way out the way it was. A mattress laid over the couch. Blankets and a duvet hung from it, as if something had thrown a bed at the living room wall. Wood planks and nails covered the floor. The bed frame. She stepped over a cabinet lying on its side. One of its drawers had fallen off, spitting out books, painting brushes, pencils, and binders. The smell and the buzzing were unbearable near the table. A plate had been left there, half-eaten, baked cod. It had bulged until it burst. Foam sprouted from the hole. A carousel of flies feasted on it. Underneath all that, the scent of lemons and garlic lingered. Somehow, that disturbed her even more. Paintings decorated the walls. No frames. Ashley could make out glimpses of dancing children and bird couples feeding their hatchlings below the fresh black paint. The chatting came from around the corner, through the hallway. She left the lights out, walking slowly. Ashley hoped whoever was there couldn't hear her steps as she did. Each poked at her temple. She walked along the hallway. A wardrobe leaned diagonally against the wall, blocking the way. Was someone trying to keep people from reaching Olivia's bedroom? Was something meant to stay there? She crouched. Ashley would have to crawl under the wardrobe. Its doors pressed her back as she squeezed past. The voices came from behind the door at the end of the hall. There would be no resistance. She didn't need to pray to have that answer. Ashley held her breath and opened it. Blue light fled the room, stinging her eyes. Ashley turned her face to enter. At first glance, it seemed the room was empty, except for the television positioned by the wall. On the TV screen, an elegant man showed circles on a map. Weather broadcast. His voice was barely audible, but the illustrations made it clear. An out-of-season storm was coming. The reporter grinned at Ashley. Apart from that, a pitch-black void swallowed the doctor as she stepped in. The floor was covered in black paint. She had already stepped on it. Besides, ruining her shoes was the last of any of their concerns. The wall facing her was covered in black too, as well as most of the ceiling and the wall to her right. Ashley closed the door. To her left, a shrunken figure knelt among black paint buckets. Olivia frantically moved her arm from side to side, covering lime green wallpaper one brushstroke at a time. The paint covered her arms all the way to the elbows.
Olivia?
The young woman turned at once. She covered her mouth before letting out a whimper, cowering against the wall. The paint stained the entire right side of her body.
Liv, I'm not going to hurt you.
It isn't you, Doctor!
She crossed her arms in front of her face.
What is it then?
She thought about saying, "Let me help you," but the sound of it was like getting shot in the head. Olivia stretched out one arm, still covering her eyes with the other, and pointed behind Ashley, at the white bedroom door. Her resident had drawn a curved line on it, a crescent moon.
Are you scared of the moon?
Do you want me to help you cover it? Burned through her mind, but she kept the words in.
Why don't you cover it?
It's not a moon.
Ashley walked up to the girl, splashing paint with each step. She knelt in front of her and held her head. Olivia tried to turn her face so she wasn't forced to look at the symbol. Ashley stopped in front of it.
Look at me, Olivia. Look at me. Breathe.
Olivia stopped struggling. Ashley pulled out her phone and started recording.
What is it?
The corners of Olivia's mouth dropped. Her nose twisted in disgust at what she was about to say.
It's an O. Is that what you want to know? It's my O. I thought I could erase it all, but I'm not enough.
What do you mean?
Haven't you looked at his journal? Those weren't V's when I got it. They were W's. His W. That was him. And that's me. I can't erase it alone, Doctor. I must be covered.
How are you an O?
Olivia slapped her in the face.
Don't play stupid, Doctor. William's got his W's. Olivia has her O's. How are your A's, Ashley? Have you started erasing them yet? Or don't you even notice just how self-centered you are, too?
Ashley's heart crawled up her throat until it nested in her skull. Each beat crushed her head. Olivia pulled her head back and she let go. Her resident went back to painting. The doctor looked at the messages she had sent the girl again. They seemed normal when she first typed them. Now she could barely read the words amidst the A's. Ashley refused to accept those were her words. She deleted the messages. She was a doctor. She swore an oath. She had one mission. She would find a cure for us, solve that puzzle, at all costs.
Why do you want to erase yourself, Olivia?
Her resident didn't look away from her work.
To make space.
For what?
I haven't earned that answer yet.
So why don't you just cover your O?
I've got to earn that too.
By painting?
Olivia dropped the paintbrush. She sunk both of her arms elbow deep into the bucket. The resident resumed painting with her hands.
My mother was a psychiatrist, Doctor. She wanted me to have a real job, and I wanted to make her proud.
She put a paint-covered hand on Ashley's shoulder.
But for you, that really was a call from above.
What's the matter?
Ash traced my gaze to the paint buckets on her coffee table.
Oh, never mind. That's not for me.
She got up and stumbled to the table. Ashley tripped on her own feet and fell over the buckets. One of them fell from the table and spilled black paint on her carpet. I pulled back my feet. She pushed herself up and grabbed one. She stumbled under its weight. I shot up and gripped the handle. She pulled it. You can barely stand up, Ash. Let me help you. She let go. How are you killing your patients? She waved her arms in front of her.
Just forget I said that, okay? I need to get back to work.
She tried to walk past me. I moved to block the door. It's not your shift and you can't drive. She ignored me. I let her go. I had hidden her car keys as soon as I got there. She went straight past the door. Ashley stopped before the stairs and turned to me. The upper floor was covered in shadows, as if the steps merged with the dark.
I thought you'd help me.
With each step up the stairs, the pull to run for the door weakened. By the time I reached the upper floor, only a faint whisper told me to go. I knew Ashley since before any of us could read. Whatever she was dealing with at the hospital, if she told herself she could handle it, then it was set in stone. The guy ran away, she had said. They'd find him and bring him back. Dr. Easton would find a treatment. I hoped her resident turned out better. But if his case was too much for her, then leaving the field was for the best. We got to the upper floor. Ashley's bed frame leaned against the wall. Ash, why did you...
You know why.
She cut me off, pressing her back against the wall to move past it. I carried the bucket, past the wardrobe, past the cupboard. I ignored the clothes pile and the rolled-up carpet by her bedroom wall. She reached for the doorknob, and I could almost feel my hand moving to stop her. Something in my guts turned to lead. The door groaned open to let us into a negative space that seemed to stretch long beyond Ashley's room. We'd fall forever if we got in. Then I saw the window and the stars beyond. The view from Ashley's bedroom must have been leagues above the hospital's. In front of the window, the moonlight traced a silhouette. A headless man. He sat on a wooden bench, as dark as anything in there. If milk rivers flowed from the moon, it would be the color of his skin. Frail blue rafts pumped blood through the man's neck. The vertebrae in his back jutted up like gears. A metal post by his side held an almost empty serum bag. The fourth hose ended in his ankle. Seeing the black dots and swollen skin on his limbs, I didn't want to think about where she'd injected after the veins in his feet burst too. I followed Ashley inside. The wet paint splashed under our feet, sending iron and turpentine straight up our nostrils. She reached for something in her coat and brought it to the man. I walked by her side. He had a head, after all. His spine bent forward like a hook, and his neck shot up again in a near S, so he could press his face against the eyepiece.
I've brought more. Let me drop it.
The man's grunt rattled through a dry throat. She pressed the red circle in her phone's recorder app.
What happens if you go blind?
He moved his face from the telescope an inch, his back like a king cobra's. A red raw circle surrounded his right eye. She squeezed the eye drop on it, and he resumed his work. The metal grinded slightly against the skin in his cheekbone, and a single drop of blood rolled down his face.
The patient continues to comply with measures that prolong his fixation.
I stepped back, tripping on something. It sent me down, back first and legs up. I lost hold of the bucket and it followed my fall, bathing my chest and face in black.
Control subject reacts expectedly.
I rubbed my palms over my eyes. It burned to keep them open, but I had to see if I wanted to get out of there. A dark pile moved in front of me. I had tripped on it. The figure's arms and legs slid on the paint as if she was making snow angels face down. A pulsing black clump on the void. Then she began to crawl like a slug across the room, leaving a paint trail behind her. Olivia let out wet, gurgling gasps each time she pulled herself forward, black bubbles foaming at the corners of her mouth. I couldn't tell how deep the paint layer was over her skin. She appeared to melt.
Patient 2's use of the paint has escalated again. There seems to be no more separation between painter and tool.
I had seen enough. Wet, dense paint slid beneath my knees as I set off running. The door clicked behind me, ever so gently sealing the room and its residents from the world. I threw myself inside the car as if any of them were after me. Home. I'd get there, scrub every inch of paint out of my skin, and call the police. They needed help. All of them. The tires screeched in my garage. I left the car unlocked and got in. The cell phone in my pocket, the laptop over the table. I sat, and I wrote. The evening report hasn't called me in 2 days. I guess I'm fired. I don't care. It's not like I can write about anything else anyway. Ashley won't answer my calls. They're not at her home anymore either. I checked. My next guess is her residence apartment. I've put everything I know on the page, but it's not enough. They know more. If I found them, maybe they'd agree to settle down here. I can't just let go of it. Can you see why? Thank you for venturing into Obscura. Don't forget to like and subscribe so YouTube knows you're one of us. May we meet again in similar nights. Stay vigilant. Stay safe.